Stop making jokes, man. This is serious. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. As you guys do know, probably, we do have the Champions Chess Tour finals going on right now. So I went ahead and grabbed what I think is the most interesting game. And this is game number 2 between Wesley and Magnus Carlsen. They are paired up for the first day. So, all my people that are coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Salamat for stopping by and taking a look at my video. Anybody who is coming from Norway, I will say hello. And tusen tak. Appreciate you guys very much as well. But, man, if you guys are ready to go, this is a true roller coaster, man. I watched this game live, and it was, like, really exciting to me on the edge of my seat. But if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look, see what we got for this game. So we got the move e4, we got d6, we got d4, knight to f6, knight to c3, and then we have g6. So we have the Pirc defense, and I mean, and to be completely honest, it is a little bit passive for black. You basically give white everything they want. It's going to be picturesque. When I show you like a little bit, further down the line, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Bishop goes to e3, we got the move c6, we got queen to d2, knight b to d7, we got knight to f3, queen to c7, bishop to d3, we got the move e5. Like, I mean, if you give white the complete center, you have to attack it at some point. We do see the move h3, just creating some lift and making sure that, we got everything on the g4 tip covered. Bishop to g7, and we got castles and castles. And like I told you guys, it is picturesque. Look at this, man. Whenever you read like beginner books for chess and like, chess fundamentals or like, the beginner, whatever book you read, it's literally, this is going to be a picture that you see in the book. I mean, like, look at this right here. Bam. I mean, you got both rooks connected. You got the queen up. You got all of your pieces on like probably some of the most ideal squares. You got the perfect center. So this is going to be like 1000% what you're going to see in a book at the beginning level for sure. Black is not like they're doing horrible, but I mean, they kind of got to get their knight out of the way. The bishop was trying to come out somewhere. This rook wants to kind of get connected. So, I mean, you kind of have a little bit of work to do as black. So, Magnus kind of gave Wesley a little bit too much. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, bro. Wesley is not the person you want to give a lot to, homie. I know personally I wouldn't. But anyways, we do see the move a4. With both players castled on the king side, I mean, usually queen side expansion is something that you see. So, I mean, what does black probably want to do at some point? Go b5, go b4, and make it really hard to hold this pawn. Because, I mean, you give white the center and you want to try to break it down some kind of way, and that's definitely a strategy. So, the move a4 just basically says, bro, I don't want any of what you got going on. So the pawn does take d4. We got bishop taking d4, knight going down to e3. We got bishop down to e2, and then we have the novelty of the game, which is the move a5. Black and white basically have the same idea. I mean, they don't want white or black just kind of getting all this space over here, especially black, because like I said, I mean, their bishop and their rook are kind of suspect. So, I mean, they don't really want to be cramped up on this side. Like, so not have space in the center and on the queen side, don't do that. So we do see the move rook a to d1. We got the rook over to e8, and then we have bishop to e3. And for those of you that play like against Bononis as white or play against Sicilians as white, you know that this d6 pawn is a very huge liability for black. And so there's a lot of care that goes into having to make sure that the pawn is taken care of. Once we move this c pawn to create space for this queen, we did create a pretty big weakness on the move on the d6 square. So now black has to try to do something about that. Bishop goes to f8. Now, we do see bishop to h6. Immediately like, hey, man, you're not protecting your pawn, homie. Bishop takes c6, queen takes c6. And, I mean, you don't really kind of want this queen hanging out this close to the king. Like, the queen can almost reach out and touch the king, right? Like, slap him. But, like, pocket. Anyways, we do see knight taking f3 with check. We got bishop taking f3. Knight goes back to d7. At the moment, the pawn is not attacked, but we can fix that if we're white. Queen to d2. Now, I will say Magnus Carlsen actually plays like, I mean, if you're getting attacked, I mean, you want to kind of try to counterattack some kind of way. And, I mean, he finds the ability to do that with going queen to b6. Now he is attacking this b2 pawn, and we have the move b3. So we got queen down to b4. And now black has basically made it really, really difficult to take this pawn immediately because you would be dropping your knight, and you don't want to do that. So first we go ahead and go queen to d4. White would love a trade because if you trade here, you're going to be trading here, and there's literally not a great way to stop the doubling of the rooks and taking this pawn. It's just going to be gone. So, we do see the move knight to c5. Not only is this you know, getting, you know, the knight off of this bad square, like improving the scope of the bishop. But we are kind of somewhat indirectly in this position defending the pawn because, of course, like I said before, this knight is going to be completely gone if you do not protect it. And, I mean, it kind of sucks a little bit because, I mean, the knight's on a really great square, but it's really kind of hard to defend with the queen being on b4. So we do see the queen going down to e3. We're preparing a little bit of something. And black decides that they're going to immediately take advantage of the fact that, you know, you are pinned on this e-file to the queen. So we have actually reached the point in the game that if you do want to pause the video and try to guess the move that Wesley So plays in a position, go ahead and do so. All right, man. So you guys know, like I just got done saying, that this pawn is pinned right here to the queen. Of course, I mean, you know, if it wasn't, you can just take and knight takes. And I mean, you know, you're just like living a beautiful life, but you can't do that. So Wesley So recognizes that it is a very critical position. And he actually makes the move rook takes d5. Now, some of you guys probably looking like, rook takes d5, like, doesn't that just throw your rook away? Like, I mean, because the pawn on c6 is going to take, right? Well, white has actually put black in somewhat of a pickle and basically made it to where they have to find an only move, and it is a sacrifice of their own. We actually see Magnus Carlsen go knight taking a4 in response. And this is a highly crucial move, and I'll show you guys in just 1 second. But the problem with this move now is that we are now double attacking this knight on c3. So this knight has like really been like a sad character the whole time as far as black is concerned. And like I said, more importantly, you know, the queen is free to move a little bit more freely. So let's go back to knight takes d5. Let's say, for example, black says, I don't believe you. I'm going to go ahead and capture here. Well, this will be an absolute mistake, just simply because now you have knight takes d5, and you are coming up here with check, and you're going to be blasting the king wide open. There really isn't a whole lot of places that the queen can go. If, let's say the queen does go to a3, you would be looking at knight to f6 with check, king going over to f8, and you'd probably be seeing something like this here. Queen going to a6 with check, knight coming back down, and we're not even taking the rook. We're literally just moving the king into the center of the board, taking advantage of the lack of development, and we are coming up to some really, really bad scenarios. The rook is going to swing over here to d1, and I mean, you see that this king is like really, really hurting bad. The major problem is the fact that after rook took d5, and if the pawn was to take, the queen does not have the ability to come back to this square, which is what we actually see in the game. So in the game, we saw knight takes a4, pawn takes a4, pawn takes d5, knight takes d5, and then queen goes to d6. And this was the highly crucial thing in the position, being able to retreat back and cover this square if you are black. So Magnus Carlsen did find the best actual way to get out of that sacrifice. But I mean, it was definitely a dicey situation. We do see rook going over to d1. We see queen up to e5, and probably a really insane looking bishop to e2, because it's like, I'm just hanging my pawn, right? Like, can't the queen just take? Well, the good news is if the queen takes, we got knight to f6 with check, and bye-bye queen. So you're going to be Eric Rosening it. Anyway, we do see bishop to e6. Of course, Magnus Carlsen is seeing that. We do have the move f4. Queen goes down to b2. Knight goes to c7. Now we are able to get our exchange back. We got queen taking c2, knight taking a8, rook taking a8, and then we do have the move f5. And, I mean, this is producing some possible nasties. I mean, we are trying to open up this position. You know, maybe get a rook up here, stuff like that. Queen kind of infiltrating in. It could get kind of nasty. So the bishop sidesteps and goes to c4. We do see bishop to f3. We got rook up to e8. We got the move f6. There is actually only one move that black can play in this position, and it was queen to b3. And Magnus Carlsen did find this move. And there's a very specific idea behind it. One of the things about the situation is you are trying to trade pieces if you are black. If you can get the queen off the board as black, then the attacks to black's king go way down. You know, Wesley So is noticing this, and he actually makes the move queen to f4. Now, some of you guys might be sitting there wondering, wait a minute, okay, I got a pawn right here. There's a vulnerable square here. Isn't that just a mate in two? Like, what do you do about this mate right here, right? Well, the thing about it is black actually has a saving resource, and that is the whole reason why queen to b3 had to be played. Let's just say, for example, you go queen to h6 first, and you're like, dude, I'm just going to checkmate you. I'm going to be happy. We're going to go home, and we're just going to have a great day. you'd actually be sad after queen to b6 with check, and this is actually, you know, making that checkmate threat go away. After the king side steps, you would be looking at queen takes f6, and I mean, now you're just down a pawn. So you got to be kind of careful when you immediately go to try to checkmate your opponent. But like I said, we did see the queen going to f4. We got the move h6. We got the move e5. Now we are holding this pawn together by another pawn. So you got to kind of do something. So the king does go to h7. We do see rook going up to d7. And I mean, it looks kind of iffy for black. I'm not going to lie in this situation. Of course, the computer's like, oh, you're barely winning. It's not even that great. I mean, it's a little bit of an advantage, but anyways, we do see the move b5. We got bishop to e4. And then we actually see bishop to e6, which is very, very appropriate. You have to defend in this position, because if you don't, let's just say, for example, you go off and you start grabbing pawns, right? Well, the bishop will be taken on g6 with check, and this is completely mating. I'll show you the fastest mate. King taking, queen going to g4, king going back, and then queen to g7 is mate. And the other ones were another mate in 2 and a mate in 4. So, I mean, it was all completely losing. So don't go ahead and do that. So after bishop to e4, like I said, we did see bishop to e6. We got rook going to e7, rook taking e7, pawn taking e7. And then it is very, very crucial that the queen defends this square here. So we do see queen down to d1 with check. The king goes to h2, and then the queen goes up to d7. And you actually have 2 different ways you can play this position. Wesley so decides that he's going to go ahead and take the pawn here, and he's going to basically put all of his faith in his b pawn. The other way that you could actually go about playing is just going straight queen to f6. And there's a really nice sacrifice that basically completely wins the game. After, we would probably see pawn taking a4, bishop taking g6 with check, pawn taking g6, and then queen going up to f8. And you are forcing this pawn forward. And then more importantly, you will be back just in time to make sure this pawn does not promote on this square. Since black has a dark square bishop, it cannot influence this queening square. So that is a major issue with the situation too. But like I said, we did see pawn taking b5. We got queen taking e7. And then like I said, all our faith is in this pawn. We got b6, we got a4, we got b7, and then we got the queen sliding over. I mean, you have to protect b8, homie. So we do see queen down to g3. We got the move h5. Queen slides over to a3. And this is a really cute little trap, because if we do see queen taking e5 with check, the queen would actually go back to g3. And we are influencing, making sure that this pawn does promote on b8. So that is an issue. So after we see the move h4, we do see the move queen to b2, and then bishop goes to b3. And I have to honestly say, man, you know, white has been winning for a really, really long time. It is completely decisive. But I know that it has to be really frustrating playing Magnus Carlsen, because, I mean, he does make it hard for you, even if you're completely winning the game. Like, he's still going to play like top moves. So if you're not playing top moves too, I mean, your advantage can definitely slip from up under you. And we have reached actually a very, very critical position right here. Bishop goes up to d5, and we have actually given black the ability to somewhat defend this position after queen going to b8. And where do you go right now? The problem is, if you just automatically capture with this bishop right here, this does allow the pawn to be captured, so that doesn't win. Going back in the position, instead of moving bishop to d5, it was imperative to go queen to d4. And then go queen to d6, and have a similar idea of kind of what I was telling you before with the queen to g3, making sure that we influence that queening square. But we did not see that. And after we see this position here, we try to kind of do that here, but this actually allows black to overload white completely. Bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, and this is the problem that you have. The queen is defending this piece because it comes with check. The queen is also defending this pawn, but then the queen also has to try to defend against this pawn promoting. You can't do all of those at once. So this is somewhat, it's not the most clear-cut, thing in chess as far as overloading a piece is concerned. But I mean, when you understand it, I mean, you usually can put, your opponent in a position where they have to do too many things at once, and they just can't do that many things. So the king does go over to g7. We see the move g3, trying to, get rid of this pawn over here. Pawn goes to a3. We do see pawn taking h4, queen going to c7, the queen going down to b3, and we allow queen taking e5 with check. The king slides over to g2. We got the move a2. Now we are deflecting the queen like we want. Queen taking a2, queen going to e4 with check, king going to g3. The queen goes to b7. And we actually have a lot longer to go in this game. So I'm going to actually speed through everything, and I'll just kind of speak at important points. But the main things for that you have to think about as far as black is concerned is they do have, because you have these ugly double pawns, they do have a completely passed pawn on the F file, so you have to make sure you think about that. And under no circumstances, if you are white, you trade queens. So you will literally be saying that. You absolutely cannot trade queens. If you do, this passed pawn will become very decisive, and it's just not possible to win it as white. So you see that coming up. So not naming the moves, I'm just going to slide through these moves because there's actually 60 moves almost to go through. We see the king backing up, we see the queen centralizing, and we see a lot of checks. And we would really hope, you know, if the queen can take here, we take here, and our pawn structure is fixed, and now everything is completely drawn. But black's not going to help you, bro. So we just see the checks. We see the F pawn moving now. But like I said, you will see a lot of times where the queen, black queen, is literally saying, I want to trade. I want to trade because I want to win. Look at that. And then white is avoiding the trades. And I don't particularly like having to speed this up, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is a very, very long game. And it's one of those kind of games that's really kind of tough to show just simply because there's so many moves. So like I said, you see that the situation black is trying to trade. White cannot trade at all. So they're continuing to check. They're continuing to avoid the trade. They're just moving their king around, doing what they need to. And black is steadily trying to trade. White's like, bro, I'm not trading ever, bro. So we're repeating a little bit of positions. We haven't threefold repetition yet, though. Avoiding trades, right? We're trying to see if maybe, you know, we could sneak, you know, sneak a checkmate in right here. Like, right? Like, let's checkmate. It's not happening, bro. Magnus Carlsen moves to h6. He says, I'm not doing that. And so now he has his escape. We're good to go. Let's trade again. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. We're not doing that, bro. So we do get into this position here where we're able to go back and forth with checks. And we get to the point coming up where it is in this position at move 113 that they have drawn by 50 move rule. Now, for those of you that are not aware of the 50 move rule, basically, if there have not been any pawn movements or captures in 50 moves, you become, you know, you draw by 50 move rule. Because basically you're looking like they're just going to move around for hundreds of more moves. So they get in this position. And so it was kind of insane to me because, man, there were so many points in this game where Wesley So was just completely 1000% winning the game. So, I mean, even though Magnus is a great defender, for him to not be able to convert a position where he was up at least 6 or 7 at times, man, that's crazy because you really just kind of think he would just kind of just like take that home. That just lets you know that even when you are Wesley So, you still have that nervousness by playing the world champion. Because as of now, they haven't played the world championship yet. He's still the current world champion. So, I mean, you know, he's still a tough cookie, man, to be playing against, bro. So, that is that game. I apologize it was so long. I don't generally pick these gigantically long games. But, you know, I thought it was really interesting to show. And, I mean, you know, Wesley So was like right on the cusp of winning this game so many times. So it's really kind of insane to see him not convert that game. So, yeah, that is that game. So, you know, maraming salamat King Makaibigan po sa nanonood ng king video. Magandang umaga to you, magandang kapon. You know, whenever you do watch this video, I appreciate you guys very much. Tusen tak, you know, for anybody coming from Norway, and I'll see you guys next time.